Are you planning a trip to Greece and feeling completely overwhelmed by all those options? Well, we've got you covered. Why not book a personalised travel consultation with our very own Greek island guru, Maria, designed to make planning simple, efficient, and completely tailored to you. You can choose from 3 tiers. Whether you just want, to pick her brains, need a high-level plan to build your very own trip, or want a fully customized travel itinerary, there's an option to suit your style and budget. And in true Maria style, she has thought of everything, so you can also add follow-up support by email, or even book a second call if you need help finalizing those finer details for your trip to Greece. Now to book, head over to the website www.mygreekis.land/book to see the options and get started with your travel consultation with Maria. That is www.mygreekis.land/book. There are 227 inhabited Greek islands. Which one will you visit next? Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the My Greek Island podcast with your hosts George Tsunias
and Maria Petrakou. Now today we are, as promised, drilling into the island of Naxos, which if you remember, we did a general episode and we said that we're going to be back with more info, and that is one of these episodes, right George?
Yes, 100%. I mean, let's see, first off, before we start, how many times have you been there?
I think 3 or 4. 3 definitely, possibly 4.
three or 4 times. And I have actually just been the once, which was it was this year, depending on when you're listening. If you're listening to it in 2025, it was this year. If you're listening in 2026, it was last year. And if you happen to be listening to it way in the future, it's a few years ago. And as Maria said, we did touch upon Paros, Naxos, and the small Cyclades. But this episode is giving you a deeper dive into the wonderful island of Naxos. So get ready to listen, be inspired, and want to book your ticket to Naxos. However, before we get into it, if you're not following us on Instagram or TikTok, you need to stop what you're doing, head over to the gram or TikTok. The handle is, as you all know by now, and if you don't, you will learn by the end of listening to a few episodes. It is at My Greek Island. Yes, and follow us. Of course, follow us. And you could also be listening to us on YouTube. So, head over, guys.
Yeah, exactly. And to support the show, please like, subscribe, drop a rating, review, share with your friends, send it to everyone you know, effectively, so that we can reach a wider audience and keep coming back with more content. And if you want mine and George's eternal gratitude, then you can also support us on Patreon, where you can access ad-free episodes, exclusive content, some cheeky bonus stuff on our episodes like we will have on this one.
Yeah.
And access to the closed group on Instagram.
And also, I mean,
what else do they get?
Well, they also get the episode drop 1 week early when you remember to drop it.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
I mean, no. I always remember to drop it. There was once when I forgot.
I know. That's what I'm joking.
Yeah, and they also get to meet us. I mean, we've met nearly all of our patrons, haven't we?
Yes, we have met quite a few of them. So there's still a few to get through that are living in other countries. But I mean, if we visit those countries, we might bump into them.
We'll definitely be asking them for a night out.
Yeah, so without further ado, let's discover Naxos and get into today's episode.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the My Greek Island podcast, dedicated to take you, the wanderlust, on a journey through Greece.
There are 227 inhabited Greek islands. Which one will you visit next?
My Greek Island, with your hosts George and Maria.
Okay, so as we do with most of our islands and destinations, we're going to give you a brief overview slash intro to the island. So looking at Naxos, so Naxos is the biggest and most fertile island of the Cyclades. Now, it's also very mythological. Wait, I'm getting my words mixed up here.
Methodical.
It's mythological. It's the mythological birthplace.
Well, the methodical is because of the fertile.
Yes.
And do you know what? Sorry, I'm just going to plug something quickly. After our trip to Lipsi,
Yes.
where we stayed at the house with all the fig trees and
Yes.
the pomegranate trees, and what else? There were so many. There was also what's frangosico
I
in
have
English?
no idea what that is.
Prickly pear. Prickly pear.
Prickly pear, yeah.
Yeah, there were prickly pears as well. And I'm like, okay, I need to Google what the most fertile island is because that's where I want a house. Haven't
Yeah.
bought one yet, my Greek islands. So I hope it's going to happen soon. Or not, who knows?
I mean, if
anyone
we
wants
get
to
many
sponsor
Patreons, we
that,
might be
yeah.
getting you that house.
Yeah. And Naxos was the one that came up. I thought it was Crete, but apparently it's Naxos
it's
and
very
Crete. They're
interesting.
kind of very close to each other in terms of fertility. So yeah, maybe
Yeah. And
maybe
I mean,
one
you
day
know,
that we'll be inviting Greek islanders to come
Yeah.
to Naxos.
and I mean, on that kind of thing about exceptionally fertile land, it does produce potatoes, olives, citrus fruits, wine. It has a long tradition of viticulture. Do you know what viticulture is?
Yes.
Okay, I was just testing you as someone who studies wine.
I mean, can you imagine if I didn't after
Well, I
doing
don't.
like...
I mean, when I came across it, I was like, I'm not quite sure I've seen this word before, and I had to Google it.
Yeah.
I still wanted to use it and test you and expose you if you didn't know, but it would have probably been cut out if you didn't know. So anyway, stay tuned because we're going to talk about a little bit about the local produce in more detail. Now, about the mythological aspect, it's the birthplace of Dionysos. And it's also renowned for marble since antiquity. So the Naxian marble was used in many ancient sculptures and temples across Greece. And there is also some kouri, which are kind of Greek statues, and you can find them in various locations across the island.
Yeah.
They still remain there.
Can we just say, though, that is the plural? So kouri
Yes,
is the
is
plural.
the plural. Yes,
You
thank
might
you.
have heard...
Kouros.
Gouros, because when George said, I said,
Kouros.
like my reflex was gouros, which you might have potentially heard before.
Yes. And it also has lots of nice, quaint, traditional villages, which we will talk about. And then finally, as you know, the beaches. And actually, I'm going to talk about probably one of my favorite beaches in Greece is in Naxos.
So I just want to add something, George. On the beaches, the first time I went to Naxos, and I don't know why, but when I was at university, I had a friend who was from Naxos and he used to go and come. And I always had like this family village, family island in my head. So I never wanted to go and then when I got there, I remember calling him and saying, why didn't you tell me the beaches are so nice in Naxos? Because they're beyond what you would expect. So
Yeah.
that's a plug. But
early access and ad-free episodes, bonus podcast content, my insider travel tips to Greece and beyond, asking me, the guru, and the community your burning questions, and closed Instagram story access. All of this for the price of just one coffee per month.
Join the My Greek Island Community Gang over at Patreon to get all of this and obviously our eternal gratitude for supporting the show. See you over on Patreon, or as they say in Greek, ta leme sto Patreon. Sign up to Patreon today. T's and C's applies. Holidays to Greece not included, but consultations can be booked via our other service.
moving on, when to go. So as the general rule of thumb, we know from most of our episodes, mid-June to early September is peak season. But Naxos does tend to enjoy a longer season for tourism. And you can kind of go off season as well and it is an island where there are lots of people living there. So you can go. However, we do need to mention that Naxos is one of the islands that is impacted by the very known winds called meltemi, which does blow over the Aegean Sea in the summer months, and it does impact islands like Paros, Naxos, etc. So bear that in mind when you're going. However, obviously this is perfect for windsurfers, kite surfers, etc. But when you're thinking about when to go, do bear in mind that there are various festivals that you can participate in or see while you're there. And one is on July the 14th, where locals celebrate the patron saint of Naxos, which is Aios Nikodimos Aioritis. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes, I think so.
Where in Hora, you will see the celebrations that take place after a church ceremony, and they also pass the icon through the town, and it's followed by food and wine. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. You have the Naxos festival in the summer where there's lots of events, concerts, etc. You have the Naxos Potato Festival because they do produce some amazing potatoes. And I think Naxos is probably at par for me with the potatoes of Cyprus, which also produce some amazing potatoes.
I just want to say, at the time of recording, I have seen a lot of videos about the Cyprus potato potentially making
insane.
An entrance to the UK market, and how
it's always been in the UK market.
Yeah, but I think in like the mainstream supermarkets, is it?
So it's the most expensive potato at Borough Market.
Yeah, but I mean in like, your huge, I'm not going to plug any, retail.
Oh, you mean
like
ones. Okay, fine. Okay,
yeah,
so you mean like the supermarket? Yeah, okay.
The supermarkets are like, could it make an entrance? So yeah,
you
very
could always
say that.
You could. I didn't know that. However, you could always find Cypriot potatoes in London.
What is so special about the Cypriot potato?
You have to try it, George.
Okay, well, you need to invite me round and make me a Cypriot potato dish.
Yeah,
or something. We're using it.
Okay. However, Naxos also has exquisite potato, so do not miss it. And they also have a potato festival. And then, as all islands, you also have panegyria. I think we need to do a dedicated episode just on panegyria.
We will. Let's find that episode, and if it's not out yet, then it's coming soon. So you might be wondering about getting to the island of Naxos. It does have a domestic airport, not an international one, which offers really easy access to Athens on those very small, cutesy little planes. If that's not your vibe, you might want to take the ferry from Athens, which takes around 3 to 4 hours, depending on, the company that you choose. Now, if you want to fly to a nearby international airport, this could be either Mykonos or Santorini. And as always, if you're flying into an island and wanting to go straight onto your island of choice, we recommend you check out the ferry schedules. And it's also a good option for a combination. And we will talk about that because, we love a combination. So on that note, combinations.
Is that you handing over to me?
Your secret combination.
That reminds me of the Kalomira song.
I know, that's why I said it.
Yeah. If anyone doesn't know what we're talking about, it was I think it was a song that went to the Eurovision.
Yeah, I think it's 2004, 2005. Eurovision's a really.
It wasn't 2005. 2005 was Elena Paparizou.
Oh, was that the year we won? Okay, so maybe
I think it was the year after that Kalomira went.
I think it was 2008. I'm going to find out anyway.
Okay. In the meantime, back to the podcast, people. How long you need to spend in Naxos? I would say at least 4 to 5 days. I mean, George, how many did you do when you went?
We did around 5, and I think.
Okay.
I mean, I think I could have stayed longer.
You definitely can stay longer.
Because also I kept wanting to go back to the same beaches, and I was like, but we need to explore. But I really love this particular beach. I just want to stay here and enjoy it.
Do you know what? I did that in Naxos as well. I went to a beach and I literally stayed there all day, and I don't tend to do that often.
Yeah, so
itinerary suggestions. Now, as we said at the beginning, I have been to Naxos quite a few times. The first time I went, I did the most common combination which was out there, which is Athens, Naxos, Paros, Antiparos, and Athens again. So I started and I ended in Athens, and in between I did the 3 islands, which was Naxos, Paros, and Antiparos. The second time I went, I excluded Paros. However, I did go there to eat because I was staying in Antiparos. So I did Athens on both ends, and then Naxos, Antiparos, and Koufonisi, which Koufonisi is one of the small Cyclades. And then the third time I went, I think I went a bit overboard, started and ended in Athens, but I first did Amorgos, then I did Naxos, then I did 3 out of the 4 islands of the small Cyclades, so that would be Koufonisi, Iraklia, and Schinusa. So these are the ones that I've done, and I think they're probably the easiest ones to do as part of an itinerary. However, obviously, there is no shortage of islands that you can combine with Naxos. And, if you would want a bit of insider info or some pointers on other islands that you could potentially combine with Naxos, there's always the travel consultation that you can book, and we can chat about it. But one good thing to know about Naxos, if you would like to plan it yourself, is also the fact that you have a local line, which is called Express Skopelitis, which connects Naxos to Amorgos and the small Cyclades. So you have like a small internal network where you can move around these islands very easily. And yeah, it's a great way to see multiple islands from Naxos. Is there anything you want to add, George?
No, I mean, are you planning a trip to Greece and feeling completely overwhelmed by all those options? Well, we've got you covered. Why not book a personalised travel consultation with our very own Greek island guru, Maria, designed to make planning simple, efficient, and completely tailored to you. You can choose from 3 tiers. Whether you just want, to pick her brains, need a high-level plan to build your very own trip, or want a fully customised travel itinerary, there's an option to suit your style and budget. And in true Maria style, she has thought of everything, so you can also add follow-up support by email, or even book a second call if you need help finalising those finer details for your trip to Greece. Now to book, head over to the website www.mygreekis.land/book to see the options and get started with your travel consultation with Maria. That is www.mygreekis.land/book. There are 227 inhabited Greek islands. Which one will you visit next? Like talking about, who this island would be for, I think it's very clear from our brief initial conversation that there's a bit for everyone. But I think I want to kind of emphasize here that it's definitely, we don't say it often about lots of islands, but it's definitely a really good island for families, given the shallow and long stretches of the shallow waters and long stretches of sandy beach but also without facilities. So I think definitely one to kind of highlight there for families. And we do have an episode on destinations for families. And on the note of plugging, are there any episodes we should be plugging at this point?
Yeah, so you did
that
say
accompany what we've got.
Yeah, you said I think we called the episodes Alternative Islands with Children or something like that. And then some other potential episodes that you could listen to, which can give you ideas for combinations, is the one that we did recently, which was Paros, Naxos, and the small Cyclades.
Mm-hmm.
We also have Islands Without a Car, if you want to learn more about the small Cyclades. We have definitely islands on Amorgos, Folegandros, Dinos, like all of these islands can potentially be combined. Yeah, so we do have dedicated episodes that you could tune into if you wanted a bit more information, and that could give you some inspiration, right?
Yeah, indeed. And I mean, if we're looking about or thinking of how we're getting around the island, this Naxos itself does also have a really good network of local buses, KTEL, and actually one of the offices is actually located near the port, so when you arrive you probably won't miss it. and obviously more frequent buses during the peak months. It does give that flexibility that for those that don't want to rent a form of transport and just want to kind of take the bus. I mean, we when we went, we took a car, and it was a preferred option to provide us full flexibility. And I think that's also because being with My Greek Island, I mean, I wasn't with you, but I mean, being part of My Greek Island is like, I want to explore a lot, but I could have easily just got the bus to one beach, stayed all day there, then got the bus back, then gone to a village. So, but we're kind of used to kind of hopping around and exploring a lot of things in one day. So, you know, if you are more of a slow, just go to a beach all day, you might not need to I don't think you'd be buying a car, but renting a car or kind of a scooter. And there's also taxis available.
Yeah.
And as it's a big island, there's a lot.
Yeah. I do want to add though that Naxos is also an island that if you're coming from Athens and you plan to take the ferry, you could potentially have a car with you from Athens and take it with you. And I have done that before as well, where I've had a pickup, drop off a car at the airport of Athens and just had it with me through the entire way. It is more. It does add an additional cost on the ferry because you need to pay to take the car.
And an additional stress to get it on the ferry.
Well, for you,
it depends how you are with being shouted
I don't
on.
stress getting the boat on the ferry. George does. I will never forget my brother though, that when he literally is zero stress and people were shouting at him on the ferry to go faster and he was just going at his own pace. So just do what my brother does. Go at your own pace. But you could definitely do that. And it does add a level of comfort in that your luggage will be in the car. You don't need to be carrying your luggage onto the boat, etc. And then one more thing that I want to say on the transportation is that if you're a family with children, depending on the next section where we're going to talk about where to stay, if you stay strategically near a beach, or even if you stay in the main town, a very child-friendly beach is literally within walking distance.
Exactly.
So Naxos does offer that flexibility for anyone that doesn't really want a car. And then one last thing I'm going to plug. When I went the first time, I actually had a quad bike.
Oh, you said this. Oh, I'm really uneasy about quad bikes.
Yeah.
But,
I don't know if I would do it now.
Yeah.
Because I imagine the first time I think I went to Naxos was probably 2013. So it's been a good 12 years.
Yeah. I feel like they're more stable than scooters, but people say the contrary. So I'm not really sure.
They are more stable than scooters. However, they do report that they can be more dangerous than scooters as well. I don't know. I mean, I had a ball with my friends. I went with a friend of mine.
Can imagine getting really sunburnt on them.
That's the next thing that I was going to say, that I had severe sunburn from that on my forehead, which turned into very bad pigmentation, and I had to get it surgically lasered off my forehead. So you do need to be careful, I guess.
Yes,
is what I'm alluding to.
So where are we staying on that note?
Yes, let's move on to the next section. Where are we staying? So we've already mentioned Hora, which is the main town in Naxos, and that's where I have stayed. And George, I think you're also going to tell us what you think about this. I think it's a great place to stay because it gives you an all-round experience. You are walking distance from beaches if you want to go to the beach, and it is a great beach right next to the port. It's not the best, but it's not the best of the island, but it's a great beach. You are on walking, you'll be on foot to get to restaurants. I don't know if you want to get to a bar to have a cocktail or whatever. So you won't need any form of transportation in the evening. You'll only need a car to get to the beach during the day if you don't want to go to the beach that's next to the port. Otherwise, there are, you can stay on the beachfront, which, for example, in Agios Prokopios or Agia Anna, and it's great because you don't have the hustle and bustle. So in some parts of Hora, you might get some noise. depending on where you stay. There are definitely pockets which are super quiet, but then there are also pockets which are kind of buzzy. But even if you were to stay on the beach, it's so close to the main town. All you'd have to worry about, I guess, is during peak season, if you have a car, that you'd need to go slightly early to find a good
Oh yeah, the
parking spot.
parking.
Yeah. Otherwise, you can stay at the beach, and within 10-15 minutes you can be in the town.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm just gonna say that we actually stayed in Naxos town, and in hindsight, because we rented a car and because of the close proximity to Agios Prokopios and Agia Anna, I'd actually be inclined to stay in this area because it was so easy to get into the main town. And it would be really good for those kind of early morning, evening beach vibes when you're like right on the beach. And
there's some amazing sunsets on those beaches as well.
So in hindsight, I would, if I had a car, I would stay there. But I think if you're not looking to get a car and you want, it's optional. But...
You could even split. You could split
yeah,
if you wanted. And lastly, I'd say you also, for someone that wants something a bit, not on the beach, a bit more authentic, you could even opt to stay in one of the villages for that. Like you've got Philoti, you've got Apiranthos, you've got Koronos. So you've got various, and they are beautiful mountainous villages.
Beautiful, yes.
I think that's for me, Apiranthos was the highlight of my trip to Naxos the first time. I was like, oh my God, it's unbelievable. Like that. It's like I felt like I was really in the mountains. You kind of are in the mountains.
It's so nice. And I think we went in the early afternoon, but I think in the evening when the main bulk of tourists leave and head off, like it's going to get quite quiet. It'll be still busy, but it won't be like in the day when you get all the visitors.
Yeah. But even in the day, it doesn't get so busy.
Yeah, it wasn't that busy when we went, to be fair.
Yeah. And you do have beaches nearby as well. So like even if you're in because I remember when I went to Apiranthos, we also went to a beach nearby. So, you can do a bit of both in the day. And I found that the most amazing thing. That was one of the highlights of my trip the first time to Naxos.
Yes.
Early access and ad-free episodes, bonus podcast content, my insider travel tips to Greece and beyond, asking me, the guru, and the community your burning questions, and closed Instagram story access. All of this for the price of just one coffee per month.
Join the My Greek Island community gang over at Patreon to get all of this and obviously our eternal gratitude for supporting the show. See you over on Patreon, or as they say in Greek, ta leme sto Patreon. Sign up to Patreon today. T's and C's applies. Holidays to Greece not included, but consultations can be booked via our other service. Now, we've talked about beaches a lot, so I think we should move on to kind of the key points of interest / things to do. And top of our list are beaches. Surprise. Yeah. Most are from Naxos going down, from Naxos town going south. And this is, I said the car, if you want the flexibility to move around, if you don't want to stay in one place the whole day. Like, I get quite restless, we work well together because we'd never really stay more than like 2 or 3 hours at a beach and then we move, but some people want to stay the whole day. So the fave, my top pick for me is Agios Prokopios. So think of the Maldives, but Greece. Sandy, it's organized but unorganized in places, very shallow waters, which is why it's good for families. And it's kind of a 2-kilometer stretch of dream beach and amazing. Would you say that was your favorite, or did you have another one?
Yeah, it was one of my favorites. It was definitely one of my favorites.
It didn't disappoint. Then we've got Ayana, which is just down the road, so you can actually walk between them. It's also good for the beach vibes, but also the beach bars and also parties. Another famous beach is Blaga. You've also got, if you're a water sports enthusiast, you've got Mikri Vila. So there's 2 of those with the same name. And one is windy and one is not. So the windy one is where you will see the kite surfing. It's really, really impressive. I don't know if I'd be brave enough to do it because I feel like I'd do my back in as they're like going up in the air and stuff. But it looks really fun.
You'd need to do some lessons.
Lessons.
I think you'd enjoy it, to be honest.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. And
Although
then
you're
you've
not
got,
you're not the biggest you're not a big adrenaline junkie.
I think,
You just like fitness kind of thing.
yeah, I feel like because it would be a bit out of my control if it like I don't know. Yeah, maybe I should try it. I like surfing, so anyway. And then you've got another beach, Aligor Beach, which is much further south, and it's surrounded by like this forest and sand dunes. Here you will also find this derelict hotel with graffiti, and a lot of blogs talk about it. And I wanted to see it, and I was just like, yeah, it wasn't really the hype and anything to write home about. But you know, if you want to go and check it out, do that. But it wasn't really for me. And in terms of activities, we talked about exploring those mountain villages. We also visited Apiranthos and Philoti, the largest village, and kind of took a stroll in the late afternoon and had some sweet treats. So Maria's favourite, orange pie, and the Patreons are going to hear where we went. And Philoti is also famous for its local produce, and it's got these big trees in the square, so you can kind of be out of the sun. And another thing is the olive oil museum and cafe, which was, yeah, you can learn some of the history of the olive oil making, taste some local products. You can even grab a drink there. Yeah, more coming up on that. And then finally, you can do a hike to Zeus's cave, which is approximately 45 minutes from Philoti bus stop. So the trail is steep and rocky, so you definitely need to take trainers, water, avoid the peak heat, and we do recommend you get some local guidance, as Google Maps is not the most reliable there. And from people that we spoke to that did it, because we actually didn't do it, is with Google Maps there is a tendency that you might get lost or not be able to get there. So ask for some local guidance.
Yes, and then some key landmarks. We have the Venetian castle of Naxos, which is in the main town, and it's so beautiful to stroll through the little narrow streets. We have the Temple of Apollo, Portara, which is in the main town. You can't miss it. It's literally an iconic spot in Naxos, and it is a must visit at sunset. Lastly, the ancient temple of Dimitra, which is just outside the village of Sagri. Then, just plugging, although we've spoken about a lot of nearby islands, etc., from Naxos, we're talking about it though through the eyes of activities that you can do while in Naxos. You can do a boat trip to Rina Cave, but also the small Cyclades island of Goufonisi. You can actually do it for a day. You can do it as part of an organised tour, as an organised boat trip, or you could even do what I did once, take the ferry, go in the morning and come back with the afternoon ferry. So you can actually do that and spend a couple of hours in Goufonisi.
And actually, that's what we were going to do. And there was so much to do on Naxos. It's like, no, we can't be spending a day going. I really wanted to go, but yeah, so yeah. Sorry.
And then obviously we did speak about lots of combinations above. So there's other islands that you could kind of bring into the mix. Not I would say Goufonisi is probably one of the few that you can go for the day. Possibly also Paros. You could go for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, you can combine some islands and go, like, do a bit of island hopping.
Yes.
Lastly, let's talk about the produce. So Naxos is famous for its cheeses. Graviera Naxos is amazing. But they also have other cheeses like Arsenico and Xinomizithra that are definitely worth trying. They have a dish called galloyeros, which is effectively a slow-cooked meat with aubergines and local cheeses in tomato sauce. It usually comes in like a little clay pot, and it's cooked in the oven, so it's really, really tasty. Then we have badudo, which is stuffed goat or lamb with herbs and rice. I probably wouldn't be eating that. I don't know if you'd be, George.
The lamb definitely, the goat not sure.
Yeah. And then they produce a kidron liqueur. Have I pronounced that correctly in English? Which is a citrus spirit made from citron tree. And obviously the usual olive oil, honey, etc.
Right. Well, I think that come to an end of this episode on Naxos. And if you were a Patreon subscriber, you would have heard our top picks for Naxos. So a hint to subscribe. But before we go, as we do in each and every episode, we like to send you off or leave the episode with a Greek word or phrase. And as Naxos is the biggest island of the Cyclades, we are going to say just that. So, Naxos, the largest island of the Cyclades, which in Greek would be Naxos, το μεγαλύτερο νησί των Κυκλάδων. And I'm going to say it one more time. Naxos, το μεγαλύτερο νησί των Κυκλάδων. And once for you, Maria.
Sure. So that would be Naxos, το μεγαλύτερο νησί των Κυκλάδων. Says it right?
I think it is. I think we've done justice to the island of Naxos and its
Yay.
amazing beaches. So, yeah.
Indeed, we did. So, everyone, thank you so much for listening. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Until then, Γεια σας.
Γεια σας. Right, my Greek Islanders. This comes to the end of another episode of this podcast.
Now you know the drill. If you like this episode, share it to share the love with the My Greek Island community, where everyone is welcome. And
don't forget to follow, like, subscribe, and all that jazz. And maybe give us a little rating from wherever you're listening to us from, so you are notified every time a new episode drops. And if you have any suggestions or requests, get in touch.
And for those of you visiting Greece, don't forget to tag @MyGreekIsland on Instagram for a future feature. Until then, see you later, or as they say in Greek,
Ta leme.